in this book is, what does it take to lead? Some fundamental things that are really hard to learn, but they are within each of our capacity to learn. Things like courage. We're all afraid. How do you get over your fears? Character. We're all tempted to do the easy thing instead of the right thing. We're all tempted to let the ends justify any means, even if we know they're wrong. And by the way, we see that going on around us all the time. We lift up outrage, conflict, controversy, fame. We lift up all these things. And so people start to wonder, do these fundamentals still matter? And yes, they do, particularly if somebody wants to change the order of things for the better in their own life, in their own place of work, in their own sphere of influence, and solve the problems in front of them. And that we can all do if we learn or relearn some basic disciplines. And I have some very practical how-to tips of, how to get more brave. We're all afraid of things. How do you practice getting brave?
So that's something. I just had dinner with somebody last night who we had that very conversation about courage. And it was interesting. You said courage, character, humility. I'm not sure which one comes first. I think character is the product of embodiment of all these other things. But does courage come before humility? How do we shape courage? Right. How do we grow it?
It's a package deal. And of course, one of the reasons I say this is countercultural right now is, first, let's acknowledge everyone's afraid of something. I do a lot of work with wounded warriors, and you would think these are people who can't be afraid of anything given what they've gone through, but they are. They're afraid of being pitied. What are we all afraid of? There are existential fears. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I'm afraid my buddy's going to die. I'm afraid someone I love is going to die. But the truth is, most of us are paralyzed by the more superficial fear. I won't fit in. I'll make a mistake. I'll get criticized. I'll look foolish. I'll fall on my face. Those fears hold us back. And in this culture today, my gosh, everybody wants to fit in. No one wants to be criticized because criticism is so brutal out there. Or, we curate our Instagram photos so our life looks perfect for people. And so, in order to actually change things, you have to be willing to get brave and say, okay, I might make a mistake. I do have to take a risk. People will criticize me. It's the price of changing things for the better. But nevertheless, I'm going to move on.
I want to play something. This is an Instagram star yesterday. This video came out yesterday afternoon. I want to play just a little bit of this. Sarah, can you roll the Instagram star that is receiving shutdown notices on some of her platforms?
Hey guys, so I'm in the middle of editing. And my Instagram account got deleted. And I'm trying to get it back. I'm calling everybody I can. And I don't know why it's not working out for me. I'm in LA because of this. I'm in LA because I want to be on Instagram. And I'm randomly just recording this to put this in the video. I am nothing without my following. I am nothing without my following.
Stop. Carly. This is one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
Yes.
I'm nothing without my following.
Yes. And this is what our culture is lifting up right now. I wrote this book for everyone who's feeling helpless and powerless, and especially in many ways for young people who have enormous pressure to fit in. And that is not our purpose in life. It's wonderful to have friends. It's wonderful to receive accolades. But I think there's a reason that the Bible talks more about courage than almost anything else. Because all change for the better requires courage, bravery. One of the practical tips I put in here is write down what you're afraid of. Write it down. My first business meeting ever. I started out as a secretary, as you know, Glenn. But when I finally went off and got my MBA and I landed in a big corporation and I was at this entry-level job, my first meeting, I was informed that my first meeting to meet a customer was going to be held in a strip club because that's what men did. And because they didn't really much care for me being around. I was terrified. I sat for hours by myself trying to figure out, oh my God, what am I going to do? And finally, I had to write it down. What am I afraid of? And what I wrote down was, I'm afraid of looking like an idiot. By the way, I did. I'm afraid of being in a circumstance that I've never been in before. And then I said, okay, what's the worst thing that happens here? I look like an idiot. But actually, there's something worse, which is I get scared off and I can't do my job. One of the things that we all need to do is stop and pause and reflect. Bravery, anyone will tell you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving past fear. And we are so afraid of not fitting in. But when we all fit in, guess what happens? Nothing gets better. It just all stays the same.